Hi, I'm Alan Wenzel, Freepod host, welcoming you to this extended Freepod interview. My guest today is Brian Caldwell, owner of AutoSmart Classic Car Sales and Consignment, located at 4596 US Highway 20 East, right here in Freeport, Illinois. Welcome, Brian, and thanks for taking time to talk to us today.
Thank you so much. Appreciate doing this.
I'm going to start, Brian, by just asking you a little bit about your business. What is AutoSmart Classic Car Sales and Consignment all about? What do you do?
Well, that kind of sums it up right there. But
can you go into more detail, I guess, about what you do?
So when we started AutoSmart, we wanted to, coming out of the franchise side of being in the car business, we started AutoSmart 15 years ago, and we wanted to be a place for people to really just not have the typical car experience. We wanted to provide something different, something special, and just be an advocate for consumers.
Have you always been in classic cars, or were you in more traditional, modes of transportation that we think of more modern day cars, and then you got into classic cars, or were you always kind of in the sales of classic cars?
No, classic cars definitely was a niche that got started. So November of this year, it'll be 31 years in the car industry.
Gosh. Yeah.
And started in sales and worked up through management, and was on the franchise side of running franchised car dealerships. And well, when we know what happened in 2008, 9, and 10, and so. That's kind of when I separated from the franchise side, and we started AutoSmart to try and offer a different service. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely involved. It's evolved into where we're at today. But it started with a classic car probably 14 years ago, and a good friend said, "Hey, can you sell my 1960s Corvette?" And
wow.
So yeah, that was our first classic, and that kind of led us into where we're at, what you see today. It helped us with our process and understanding, taking care of the customer and the transportation. And there's a lot that goes into selling classics specifically.
I'm going to ask you some more details about that in a second. But before I do that, tell me how you got to Freeport. How did you bring your business here, Brian?
Well, I got to tell you, it was definitely some divine intervention and a gentleman by the name of Brian Borger.
I know Brian, good guy, classic car enthusiast.
Yeah. So we were at a car show in Crystal Lake, fall of 2023, and he introduced himself, and we started talking about, what my dreams and hopes were to move not only our family out to Northwest Illinois, but also our business. And several conversations, and 2+ years later, here we sit.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to profess my ignorance here a little bit, and a little bit of what knowledge I do have, and ask you about, how do you define classic car? And it looks to me, from walking around your showroom here, you have some beautiful cars. They look like they're drivers to me. You get out and enjoy them and drive them. But are you selling collector cars? The show car that you put in your garage and take it out, only 2 times a year to a car show? Or are you appealing to the customer and just wants to drive an old car around and have fun with it?
So that's a great question. And to answer your question, yes, to both.
Okay. Right.
So our goal has always been to have a variety of vehicles, depending on, whether you're a purist and you're looking for that collector vehicle, whether you're a first-time classic car buyer and just want to have something fun with the family to go do on a Friday, Saturday night, but don't have $60,000 to buy a fully restored classic. So, from $10,000 up to $100,000 is kind of our wheelhouse.
So you really are covering a broad spectrum of classic car for people with different interests. Like you say, just drive it with the family on a weekend, to people who really want a restored car that could win an award at a car show.
Oh, absolutely. And several of them that we have here for sale currently have won awards. So yeah, it's
the Lincoln the Lincoln Continental. Boy, that caught my eye. That's a beautiful car. Sitting in the corner of your showroom here. Is that a show winner somewhere along the line?
That was that came out of an estate. And that vehicle is very unique. They only made them for a couple years. They were very expensive in 1956. Those those vehicles were almost $10,000 back in 1956. So very unique. Not going to see one very often. But you go from something like that to we've got a 1933 Sinclair gas Model T out there. Actually, I think they call them Model BBs, but all the way to modern vehicles like 2000 Corvette. So
you have a Mitsubishi sitting out there, a newer Mitsubishi. And
newer, it's a 94. So it's,
newer. Yeah, it's all a matter of perspective. At my age, it's newer.
So, what defines a classic? For us, it's that, 20 to 25 plus year old vehicle. Doesn't necessarily need to be a restored car. Vehicle we just got in today is a 25-year-old Corvette convertible with 38,000 miles. There's a classic American muscle car from the late 90s, early 2000s.
Let me ask you, how do you find your cars? Do people come to you? Are you out searching for cars and buying and bringing them in to resell? Or how do you come by your inventory, Brian?
So really, that is probably the one thing that's unique about us. Most dealers, they get inventory one of two ways. They either go to the auction and buy it, or they take it in on trade.
Okay.
And these cars, you can't go to the auction and buy it. Well, you could go to Barrett Jackson or Mecum, but guess what? You're gonna pay a premium for them.
Right.
But a lot of times, this is just repeat and referral customers. We have a product within our business called Jack's Wax. And so our business for that is called Chicago Jack's Wax. And we go to classic car shows and we sell our detailing wax products. And that opens the conversation to the other services we provide, such as the consignment. So not uncommon that we sold a $15 bottle of wax that turned into a sale of a $50,000 classic car.
Wow. So what? How big is your inventory? Do you kind of keep? It's a rolling number, obviously, because you buy and sell all the time. You try to keep 50 cars in inventory, 100 cars. How big is your inventory typically?
Yeah. So for us, moving to our new location, we knew that we were going to be restricted a little bit by our current indoor space. We're actually in the process of working to expand indoor storage. And there are some classic cars that truly can sit outside. And right now we've got about 20 of them out front that are under that $20,000 range. But then, you get a 1936 Ford Roadster that, needs to be preserved and kept indoors out of the elements. So, our goal is to have about 30 to 40 under roof, and then another 20 that are outdoor show cars that, being here on Highway 20, it's a lot of people travel by and they stop and turn around because what they see outside.
I bet. And when I travel on the interstate, every once in a while, you'll go by a place just like this with classic cars. I said to my wife, I'd like to stop. And she said, no, you're going. Says, you can't buy anything until you sell something and make space for it. I've got too much already.
It is a challenge. People walk in and it takes them back in time from when they were a kid.
Sure.
And young or old. I mean, the next generation of classic car consumers are my demographic. The 45 to 55-year-olds. The kids are either in college or out of college, and we're at our pinnacle of our careers and dollars, and we have a little bit of disposable income. And so that's why I said having those vehicles that are under 20 grand gets the family started with it. And then they can continue to upgrade, or in your case, keep hanging on to something.
Sure. Right. It seems to me like over the years, the interest in it's a moving segment. How do I say this? The generation ahead of me was interested in those old Model A's and Model T's. I don't see anybody wanting those. And then it kind of moved along. It got up to my era when I'm looking at 50s cars and 60s, because that's when I grew up. And now the younger folks are looking at 80s, 90s, and 2000s when they grew up. Are you noticing the same kind of pattern of interest in cars? It moves with your age.
It does.
In terms of the market segment that you're most interested in.
It does. And it's unfortunate that, the vehicles from, the 30 and 40s that were the American hot rods. And I've sold cars, many of those for clients that, they've got over $100,000 in, and unfortunately now they're 50 cents on the dollar. Yeah. So you do see that trend of interest change through generations. And currently, you get the people that were born in the late 60s, early 70s, and the magazines that they flipped through, or the posters they had on their wall, the Porsche 911s or a Lamborghini. And so, so you tend to see those. Now what we're seeing is the the Tri-5s, the Chevy, the 55, 6 and 7s.
Oh yeah.
Those are now being sold. And, unfortunately, there's not a huge audience because now people of my generation, they want the late 60s Camaros or the early 70 Pontiacs, or, probably one of the most underappreciated vehicles right now is like a Buick Skylark.
Yeah.
Wow. But those are the cars that you're going to start seeing coming up in value. And then as you start getting into, pickup trucks right now, pickup trucks have just exploded, and they're doubling and tripling in value from what they were just 10 years ago. So the
that's
late
a
70s.
change, isn't it? There wasn't that much interest in pickups 25, 30 years ago. In terms of people wanting to buy older vehicles, it was all cars,
muscle cars, basically.
Muscle cars.
But now people have seen that there's a different use for that classic car. Can I use it for multiple things? And so, you get a Chevrolet pickup truck that's fully restored from 1972, and, they can go for $50,000.
Wow. Yeah. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
I wish my dad, when he moved off the farm, he sold his 1972 Chevy C10 pickup. I wish he'd kept that. And of course, the 58 Plymouth I was a Virgil Exner fan and a Mopar guy growing up, and I wish I had those cars, but they were all rust buckets.
Sure.
And they didn't last, and there aren't many around. But again, I have a real affection for those late 50s, early 60 cars. And
there's still an audience for them. There are still people that want to buy them. We just had a young gentleman in his late 30s come in and purchase a 1956 Chevy Bel Air that was a local car from here in the area, out of an estate. So it just, they're not going to go away. But and my true concern is that next generation, they really don't have an interest in the classic cars, and so I'm hoping that as they get older and they start. Start talking with grandpa and grandma, and even Christmas time, you see the atypical Hallmark Chevrolet, pickup truck commercials, and I think people starting to remember kind of the days of old, and so hopefully the generation beyond me can really bring that interest back. Yeah.
And cars are not the only market that is experiencing that. I've talked to model train collectors, the old guys that have the Lionel rolling stock that was from the 30s, 40s, even 60s, 70s. And young kids aren't into model trains like they were.
No.
And so it's hard for these gentlemen to see how they're going to pass along their interest and their inventory in model trains to the next generation. I've got a question for you. How does if someone wants to sell an old car, they can do it through you. They can consign the car to you. What's the process for that? Do you have to evaluate the car? Do you put a value on it? Do you take the owner's request? This is what I want to sell it for. How does that work, Brian?
So first and foremost, it's guided by the Secretary of State Police for Illinois. So there's certain documents, there's certain processes that we have to comply with under our dealer license. So that's the legal part. The simplistic part, while talking with the customer, is, think of us as like a realtor for cars.
Oh, okay.
And so, we're going to do a market assessment of the car, and that typically starts with an appraisal. Just because you spend $100,000 on the car doesn't mean that it's worth $100 in today's market. So the appraisal process is really important. And we work with third-party professionals here locally that help us kind of evaluate the vehicles, not so much just from a dollar standpoint, but also what is the car? How correct is it to that period? And so there's a lot that comes into where our dollar amount winds up at for listing a car. But yeah, so we work with our clients. We've become partners with them because we're going to market it. We're going to advertise it. We're going to do the photography. And, days of 30 years ago when you'd put an ad in the paper, those are gone. And so now it's all about social media, We just have a car that was we got it in on consignment from a family here in Freeport. It's an 88 Oldsmobile with 19,000 original miles. And it's going to Dallas, Texas next week.
Oh, wow.
We just shipped a 79 Trans Am up north of Madison, Wisconsin. We had a Z06 Corvette 2 weeks ago go to Rochester, Michigan. So our business is national, and we do have some cars that are sending international, and it's
no kidding.
It's all because of the internet. So for us, the Northwest Territory here of Illinois has an abundance of classic cars.
Why is that? Is there a reason for that?
Well,
just the people hung on to them and just enjoyed them and put them in the barn.
I think being here in that rural country setting, you have a lot more access to areas to store cars versus being in the city. When you're in the city, most cars sit outside, and so people don't have the ability to store them. And so, yeah, this is kind of like that little nest egg of classic cars up here. And
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
So that's why for us being here in Freeport and Stephenson County is it's a great location. We have access to the airport down the road, only 25, 30 minutes. So clients can fly in if they want to see a vehicle.
Oh, sure. Fly into Rockford and drive out here and check it out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If someone's searching for a car, can they use you to do that? Let's say I've got my eye. I'd like to buy a Pontiac GTO, mid 60s. Do I come to you and say, hey, can you search for me? Or
sure,
do you provide that service?
Yeah.
Also?
So it's funny you ask that, because I've got really good clients of ours from up north of Milwaukee in Wisconsin, and they had two very specific late 90, early 2000 Pontiacs that they were searching for.
Okay.
One for him and one for her.
Oh, neat. Yeah.
The one we actually sourced because of our relationships in the Pontiac world down in Clearwater, Florida.
Oh, wow.
And we had our contact down there literally go look and drive the car, give us an analysis. And then we went down, drove with the trailer, picked it up, brought it back, cleaned it up, and delivered it to our client. And then the other one we found in North Carolina for them. So
interesting.
Yeah. So it's not the primary part of our business because it is difficult. Buying a car, there's a lot of questions, a lot of things you want to know. And so, but doing this as long as I have been in the industry, we've got a lot of contacts, a lot of friends out there, and car people truly want to help other car people.
That's my experience too. And it's, I guess in a way, kind of a tightly knit group. Everybody knows everybody else kind of. If you're involved in this and are serious about classic cars, you do know a lot of people, you stay in touch with them, and they come to know you and trust you. And so when they give you their word on something, it's like, oh, yeah, he knows what he's talking about.
Yep. And if I don't have somebody, you can usually pick up the phone and call somebody, and they know somebody. And so it's a great network, kind of still that old school way of helping each other.
Now, question related to this: you're trying to buy cars that are already in pretty good shape? You're not buying them to restore them or to put a lot of money into them to bring them back to original or anything like that. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, we do not have a service shop. We do not have a restoration shop. We're strictly once the vehicle is done, it's time to be sold. Some of the cars that we search, we'll do some mechanical work. We have partners here in the area already that can do body work, that can do some mechanical work. And so if we're buying something, we want to make sure that it's a good, safe, and sellable vehicle to go down the road. The ones that we're taking on consignment, there are some that I just don't take because they don't meet our standards.
I was going to ask you that. Do you say no sometimes to a car that
have to?
Yeah,
have to, because at the end of the day, it's not just about selling a safe car. It's also our name behind it. And if you look at our Google reviews and look at what people think and say about us, they love our process because it's very transparent. They love the interaction that our team has with our clients. The fact that we can take it from tip to tail, from the acquisition to the sale, to the financing, to the shipping. We try to be kind of a one-stop shop for our clients. Now, some people have their own relationships and they don't need some of those services, but some people, they want some guidance and they want some help.
Mm-hmm. To our listeners, I'm sitting here with Brian Caldwell with AutoSmart Classic Car Sales and Consignment. A beautiful showroom out here at the old Visitors Center out east of Freeport. It's at 4596 US Highway 20 East. Come on out and check it out. Your hours, Brian, are 10 to
6, Monday through Friday, and then 10 to 3 on Saturdays.
10 to 3 on Saturdays and 10 to 6 Monday through Friday.
Correct.
And they have a web presence and a social media presence, so check them out. Their website is autosmartnetwork.com.
Correct.
autosmartnetwork.com, and you'll pull it up and you'll be able to see the inventory. You'll find out a whole lot more about the business, and it'll be a treat for you particularly if you're interested in old cars. Brian, what would you like to leave with our listeners? Something I didn't ask you and I wanted to. You've been in this business a long time, the car business, classic car business, maybe not quite as long as you have been in the franchise car business. Tell me a little bit about your business philosophy. What is your overall approach to how you do business? I think our listeners might be interested in that.
So, first and foremost, our mission statement and values, which you can see those on our website, it is all about community involvement, being active in the community that we serve. And by doing so, that creates those relationships. And it's not just in the car industry. It's whether it's helping a food drive for Christmas time or working with the local sheriff for their national night out. That to me is first and foremost. And it really gives an idea of who we are as a team.
Well, I'd like to welcome you to Northwest Illinois. You've been here a while, but I'd still like to welcome you, Brian, you and your business and your crew and your team that you work with here. Thanks so much for taking a little bit of time with us and for all that you do for not only classic car enthusiasts, but for what you're going to do for the community too by your presence. We appreciate you being here, Brian, and thanks so much for your time. Any final words you want to leave with our listeners?
Brian?
What?
I would just like to invite everybody. We've got 2 more cruise nights in August and in September. You can find those on our social media page. It's here. It's free. Second Wednesday of August, second Wednesday of September from 5 to 8. If you haven't been to the building since we've opened and you remember it as a visitor center, come check it out because everybody walks in, they go, "Oh my gosh, this is beautiful."
Yeah, it is. It is. Come out and look at the cars.
Yes.
And buy.
Yes. But
that's the key.
Start by coming to look and say hello.
Right, exactly. Well, this is Alan Wenzel thanking you, our listeners, for tuning in to today's extended interview and reminding you that our regular news podcast begins at every Thursday at noon on all major podcast platforms and our website for Freepod and for WNIJ Public Radio in DeKalb. And in-depth interviews like the one I've just conducted with Brian drop every Tuesday at noon in those same locations. As always, our thanks goes out to the Mass Communications Department at Highland Community College for producing these podcasts for Freepod and to the many volunteers who are working to bring you the news. Have a good week.